wewe unataka kutumia pesa za umma vile unavyopenda wewe mwenyewe, na ukiulizwa unatuambia tutatupeleka kura ya maoni.
Na umeenda openly unashikana na watu wa code kuitisha referendum.
On the receiving end, Jubilee governors warned against supporting the referendum.
Look at what Al-Shabaab and terror has done to the Kenyan coast. Look how many people are today out of employment as a result of that issue of insecurity.
And one-on-one with the president, Uhuru speaks to KTN on the challenges and plans of the Jubilee government.
Kabla wa Oktoba mwezi wa 10 tutawaletea titles karibu 1,100.
Tumekataa ati mambo ya mchungaji mpaka iwe chini ya National Land Commission. Bwana si wazuri, sio mama Charity Ngilu.
Plus, opposition to Ngilu's survey master plan in Lamu.
Come and vote and leave early.
And Mathare goes to the poll tomorrow.
Yes, indeed. KTN Bottom Line is winding up our stay here in Garissa. We've been here since yesterday, allowing the residents of this county to speak up about the issues of marginalization and exclusion. And so tonight we'll be taking that conversation forward. We'll be talking about some substantive conclusions. What is the way forward? What are some of those recommendations that we can put down that would assist this county move forward? Is it devolution? Is it leadership? Is it the youth? Is it those who are educated and are not within this county but are investing back here? That is what we will be discussing a little later on in this bulletin. That is in a few minutes from now. So please do stick around with us. Remember, the hashtag remains KTN Bottom Line on Twitter. SMS is also open, 22155. What are your thoughts towards solutions to enable them feel more Kenyan than they do right now? Keep those comments coming in and we'll incorporate them in our discussion a little later on. For now, for the top stories of the day, I'll hand you back to Edith Kimani at the Standard Group Center.
Well, thank you very much, Yvonne Okwara, our sign language interpreter this evening. William Sia and I join you for the news this evening. And we begin with what's happening with the referendum debate, where both governors and the Coalition for Reforms and Democracy today came under sharp criticism over their calls for a referendum. Now, governors allied to the Jubilee coalition have been warned that they risk losing sponsorship from the party should they continue pushing for a referendum. On the other hand, CORD has been accused of attempting to derail development projects by the government. And KTN's Ian Wafula opens our bulletin this evening with that report.
Deputy President William Ruto is asking governors to account for the money they have spent within the last financial year before embarking on the referendum call that is seeking to increase county funds allocations.
Badala ya kujibu maswali ya vile wametumia pesa, wanatuambia ya kwamba mkitusukuma sana tuwajibike, tutaungana na wale tufanye referendum. Sasa, honestly.
Speaking in Kisii during a fundraising drive in aid of a local church, the Deputy President further said the Coalition for Reforms and Democracy, CORD, is planning to use the referendum as a gimmick to slow down progress being made by the Jubilee government.
Ni watu tuliwashinda na wanaona ya kwamba tukipata nafasi ya kujenga reli na barabara na kuweka stima, mambo yao ya kisiasa itapotea 2017.
Karibuni. This as a section of senators from the Jubilee coalition condemned governors affiliated to the party who have since joined in calls for a referendum, terming them as betrayers.
Na huwa tunaambia governor lazima aimbe ile wimbo tunaimba. Na kwa maana nimeona amewekwa kwa orodha ya wale ambaye wanaambiwa watengeneze sijui maswali ya katiba. Si tunamwambia hivi. Nilikupongeza kwa sababu siku ya 7/7 tulienda kuangalia miradi Kajiado na wewe. Lakini sasa hiyo njia umeingia, sasa ni ya kusema hata mimi nitainua kiboko.
Sasa kama sisi Jubilee tumesema sisi hatuamini referendum haipaswi kufanywa sasa, na wewe ni governor wetu, na umeenda openly unashikana na watu wa code kuitisha referendum. Si wewe umekana Jubilee, you have denounced Jubilee yourself.
They say the formation of the county development boards is a solution to curbing misappropriation of funds and lack of accountability in the county governments. It is part of the 10 issues prompting the governors to call for a referendum.
And it will not be possible. And we want to tell my friend Isaac Ruto, kwa sababu kuna Ruto mbili, lakini Ruto moja ni original, ingine ni counterfeit. And we want to tell them, all that referendum does, it is a political process for consolidating political gains and creating political movements. Amendment of the Constitution is just a mere byproduct.
Similar sentiments were made by National Assembly Majority Leader Aden Duale, who warned governors from the ruling coalition against supporting calls for a referendum. Speaking in Garissa County, Duale said Jubilee governors who are supporting referendum called by the CORD coalition risk losing party sponsorship.
You cannot join the referendum of the CORD coalition. Iko tu referendum ni moja. He
said all governors who are elected using the coalition ticket have no choice but to toe to the party line or else seek fresh mandate from the electorate. Ian Wafula, KTN.
Well, as governors contemplate their views and their position on the referendum, what is on President Uhuru Kenyatta's mind? Winning the war on terror. That is what is on President Kenyatta's priority list. And so the president maintains leaving Somalia is not an option. Speaking to KTN's managing editor, Joe Ageo, the president defended his allies in response to critics who say his undoing will be the people closest to President Kenyatta.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for joining us on this interview. A quick one, albeit, but you've been here for the last couple of days, and what is that one thing that Kenyans listening back home can see this is what our president came back with?
I believe that this particular summit has managed to put Kenya and Africa on the US map in a manner that has never happened before. So I think that first and foremost. And we have now American investors, we have American businessmen looking at Kenya and Africa as a whole from a different light.
Now yesterday when you were speaking to the members of the diaspora, you spoke a lot about Somalia and said that we are not about to leave Somalia anytime soon. And a lot of people are thinking, isn't there a risk of us staying there endlessly, given the fact that Somalia is a very difficult place and the whole world has tried to pacify it for a long time?
I don't think so. And I think the message that we're sending is clear. It's not that we intend to be in Somalia forever. And I think what I said, so that we are very clear, is that we intend to be in Somalia until we are able to deal with this threat of Al-Shabaab. Yeah? And I think with each passing day, and one of the great things about going home is the understanding amongst many of our international partners, the United States, our neighbors, that all of us have to do a lot more to deal with this threat of insecurity caused by Al-Shabaab. And we need to all intensify our works to make sure we protect ourselves. And that is what I was telling our diaspora, that we should not succumb to pressure of a group that ultimately poses a threat even for our own stability and prosperity. We must work together to be able to deal with that, and we should not and cannot be intimidated by that group, because even if we were to leave, all we would be doing is creating space for them to commit more terror on our people. They had committed terror before the entry of Kenyan troops into Somalia. They have committed terror while we are there, albeit a lot more reduced, and they will continue if we pull out. So the only option we have is to join forces with the Somali people, who are the majority, well-meaning, to join forces with our neighbors and ourselves to uproot this small band of criminals who are intent on causing havoc and destruction and mayhem on the many millions who want just peace and stability.
Yes, and you're on record, though, as saying that you're not getting all the support that you could get from the international community.
Yes, I am. And that's, again, one of the things that I'm happy about when we go home, because not only from this particular trip, we have gotten a lot clear commitment, including the announcement made by President Obama that there would be increasing even resources available to help us combat with this. So we're starting to see more and more participation, and I am confident that in this particular direction, we are getting the kind of support now that I would hope to have gotten, and that's one major takeaway.
Yeah, let's talk about security internally, because a lot of people say that you may have good ideas of how to solve our security problems, that you're surrounded by the wrong people, that anytime there's a terror attack or sort of thing, the kind of communication we get, we don't have confidence in the kind of people that are running.
We're working on that. You know, we are working on that. A lot of the reforms that we're putting in place, we first of all, before you say somebody is incapable of doing a job, you've first of all got to give him a djembe. You can't say he's unable to farm if he doesn't have the right implements. We are giving them the right implements. Once we have the right implements, once we have removed some of the bottlenecks that have impeded them in their work, I think that is when you can make a judgment call. We are working, we are making that investment. We are committed to making that investment to improve their work environment, to improve their surroundings, to give them better equipment, to facilitate them much better. It's at that stage when somebody has their djembe in hand that you can say whether he's willing to plow that farm or unwilling or unable to plow that farm.
There's also concern about what is normally called the winning the battle of hearts and minds, especially of the Kenyan Muslims, who a lot of times feel targeted by the government, perhaps unfairly or not. But they say that they've been, like the Eastleigh raid, for example, where a lot of people were arrested.
We are not targeting anybody, and I have made it consistently very clear. We are targeting criminals. We are targeting people who are posing a threat. We are targeting people who hide, be it in Eastleigh or Majengo or Katundu or wherever they may be, yeah? Plotting and planning evil against Kenyans. Those are the people we are targeting, right? We are not against anybody, and I made it very clear last night that were we, yeah, we would not have the number of Muslims, we would not have the number of Somalis as we do in our government. If we were targeting somebody, you wouldn't bring him right home. You would keep them afar. We have not done anything like that. We want them because we want to be able to deal with this. It is in their interest, as much as it is in the interest of every well-meaning person, to deal with these challenges. Look at what Al-Shabaab and terror has done to the Kenyan coast. Look how many people, yeah, are today out of employment as a result of that issue of insecurity. I think there are a lot of Kenyans out there, yeah, Muslim and otherwise, who join hands with us and say, we must uproot this evil. We must get these people out of our system. And we will, and we are committed to doing so, in the name of the majority of well-meaning Kenyans, be they Christian, be they Muslim, be they whatever community, be they whatever race, who are interested in peace and stability in order to be able to progress on with their lives. And they realize that these individuals pose a threat to all of us.
Finally, Mr. President, let's talk about the question of tribalism in our country. Yesterday, you talked about the kind of hate that is in social media. I mean, what's that active thing that the government is doing? Because right now, you revoke titles in Lamu, and what that has generated that is everybody, every politician is talking now. Jubilee said Orengo should resign. Today, I've heard Duale, the majority leader, saying that Kajwang issued work permits to terrorists and all these things. And
I've not been following what's happening at home. Maybe when I'm finished with them, I'll read the paper.
The president is that anytime an issue, the country is so divided that every time a genuine issue comes out in the public domain, everybody loses their head, and on both sides of the divide. But in your position as president, with the clout and gravitas that you have, what is that you can do right now to bring the country together?
That's part of what I was saying yesterday, that what we need to do is to be able to focus on issues. Yeah? And my commitment, the commitment I made from the day of my inauguration, is that I intend to be focused 150% on the issues, and I do not intend to be sidetracked at all. And that is what I was trying to tell Kenyans. And as I tell them in numerous of my statements, let us recognize that for this country to succeed, we must all be on board on the issue or on the basis of the issues that affect the citizens of our country. And those issues will never be resolved if we always hide behind ethnic, religious, or race cocoons. We must come out as Kenyans and say, these are issues that we must address. Let us judge a government by its ability to deliver. Let us judge issues on the basis of their merits or their demerits, not by the basis of who has proposed and where they come from. Where they come from matters not. What matters most to all Kenyans, wherever they may be, is that this is my issue. I have an issue with health. I need better health facilities. I need a road to be able to bring my produce to market. I need power in order for me to be able to start my juakali kazi of welding windows or whatever it is that I do. I need security so that I can go to and from work, in peace. These are the issues that we need to be able to address. These are the issues that face the common mwananchi. These are the issues that prevent investment in our country. These are the issues that we must deal with. Not who has brought them, but what are they? If it is land, let us resolve it. Let us make sure that we have land not being ever again an issue of politics, but rather an issue of productivity. And that's the commitment that we're giving, right? That we're dealing with this issue because we never again want land to be an issue of politics or of division. We want land to be an issue of productivity that creates food for our people, that creates jobs for our people, and that helps our economy grow and helps bring prosperity to all Kenyans, wherever they may be.
President Uhuru Kenyatta winding up that interview by talking about the issue of land. And that ties in very well with the Ministry of Lands, which has launched a land survey exercise in Lamu and Tana River counties. Now, Lands Cabinet Secretary Charity Ngilu launched the 6-day exercise that will pave the way for the issuance of over 150,000 title deeds in the 2 counties. CORD leader Raila Odinga has, however, dismissed the efforts by the Lands Cabinet Secretary, arguing it is not her mandate, but that of the National Land Commission to handle such land matters. Rita Tinina reports.
With investigators trying to establish how close to 500,000 acres of land was irregularly acquired in Lamu, Lands Cabinet Secretary Charity Ngilu was in Lamu to kick off a land survey exercise.
Ili tukiona tujue ni nani, tujue amepewa wapi, alipewa na nani, alipewa kivipi.
72 surveyors led by the Director of Survey will be stationed in Lamu for the exercise. Ngilu promised that illegally acquired land will be given back to the locals.
Na viongozi hawa watuonyeshe hii ndio ya watu wetu, ili tuone ile imechukuliwa na hawa mabwenyenye itarudishwa kwa wenyewe. That is as simple as that.
The Cabinet Secretary also launched a land survey exercise in Tana River County.
I've just brought in about 30 surveyors here, cartographers, and physical planners in the county of Tana River.
The survey is expected to take 6 days and will pave the way for the issuance of title deeds in Lamu and Tana River counties.
That is going to ensure that we can get up to 70,000 title deeds here in Tana River County, and also up to 100,000 title deeds in Lamu County. And this obviously is going to see real peace that will be now experienced.
CORD leader Raila Odinga, speaking in Likoni, dismissed the initiative by the Lands Cabinet Secretary, saying land matters should be handled by the National Land Commission.
Serikali hii imekataa kuacha National Land Commission ifanye kazi yake. Wanataka kutoa nguvu kwa National Land Commission kurudisha kwa serikali. Fisi ndiye anataka awe mchungaji wa mbuzi. Ndio tumekataa.
Leo Ngilu anarukaruka ati Lamu 22 entities wamepata 500,000 acres. Sisi twasema kama hiyo ni ukweli, hiyo ni makosa. Lakini pia katika Taita Taveta 2 entities on almost all of Taita Taveta. Hao 2 entities ni nani? Tujue na wao pia waregeshe hizo title.
The Ministry of Lands last week kicked off a cleanup of the lands registry in Mombasa, Kwale and Kilifi. Rita Tinina, KTN.
From land issues at the coast to a by-election in Mathare, and those constituents go to the polls tomorrow in a by-election pitting 9 candidates. But as Ben Kitili reports, the major contest is set between the main coalitions of Jubilee and CORD. This comes as CORD clarifies that its candidate has not withdrawn from the contest.
It is all systems go for the Mathare by-election set for Monday. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission spent the better part of Sunday preparing and equipping presiding officers with the election materials. IEBC are confident of an efficient exercise come Monday.
I'm urging the people of Mathare to make time, to come early. Early is good enough. Come and vote and leave early. Those who can't find time because they are working, we have asked employers to allow them to release them.
The Mathare by-election was occasioned by a decision by the Court of Appeal to nullify the election of the area's immediate former MP, George Wanjohi of TNA. The petitioner, Stephen Kariuki of ODM, had been declared the winner in March 2013 before the IEBC changed the decision. The two will be battling it out with Barack Obata, who is an independent candidate, Labour Party's Billion Ojiwa, and Crispus Nyangangali of the Maendeleo Democratic Party. Other candidates include Mariam Macharia, Nixon Inziria, both independent candidates, as well as Sami Mudanya of the Progressive Party of Kenya. Former Kasarani MP William Omondi was a last-minute addition to the field as the High Court directed the IEBC to include his name on the ballot paper. He will vie as an independent candidate. Mathare constituency has a total of 88,053 registered voters who will cast their votes in 115 polling stations across the constituency.
Security, everything is in place. Every polling station will be manned by 2 police officers. We have already received the full list.
The city parliamentary by-election will see another battle for political supremacy between the CORD and Jubilee coalitions, with Jubilee keen on retaining the seat. After all the delays, Mathare finally goes back to the polls. A total of 9 individuals are battling to become the next Mathare legislator. But as happened in March 2013, it is expected to be a neck-and-neck affair between TNA's George Wanjohi and Stephen Kariuki of ODM. The polls open at 6 a.m. Ben Kitili, KTN, Mathare, Nairobi.
A neck-and-neck affair that KTN will certainly continue to follow for you. To matters environment now, and Nyeri is ranked as the county with the highest forest cover in the country. Now, this, of course, may be partly because it is home to 2 key water towers. We're talking about the Aberdares and Mount Kenya. Locals, however, also play a part in increasing the county's forest cover. In Hombe, communities have replanted close to 2,000 hectares of forest land. And as Rita Tinina reports on EcoJournal tonight, they have extended the tree planting campaign right into their farms.
At the heart of Kenya's most forested county, a piece of greenery may not look like much. But here in Hombe Forest, they have a story to tell. Just 16 years ago, this whole forest did not exist.
About 2,000 hectares was empty ground. And in the year 1998 to 2001, there was a lot of danger of degazettement.
But locals who considered the plantation forest a crucial water catchment area would not let the forest be degazetted. In a rare mobilization exercise, communities rallied together and started massive bush tree nurseries and began replanting trees here.
And we were able to rehabilitate or to replant over 1,200 hectares of empty land between the year 2001 and 2003.
Just over a decade later, part of what was once empty land is now filled with trees. They managed to save the forest from degazettement, but it was far from mission accomplished.
2010 to 2014 now, all the other remaining areas over 600 hectares have already been done.
The trees planted in the second phase of the rehabilitation are catching on, and communities have gone one step further. Welcome to the Hombe community's central tree nursery. Here, you will find more than a dozen tree species.
Both exotic and indigenous.
The things that we look at is the future of conservation in connection with the people's livelihoods.
With conservation in mind, the nursery is now focusing on growing giant bamboo and croton tree seedlings.
For riparian rehabilitation, food production, and also the cottage industry.
Bamboo, experts say, is a good replacement for blue gum trees, which the government has been campaigning to have uprooted from riparian areas. Since the nursery was started 4 years ago, it has been raising at least 500,000 tree seedlings every year. Schools and farmers are putting the tree seedlings to good use.
Every season, before ikinyesha wakati wote lazima nipande miti 10 to 20 kwagu.
Simon Mwai is among farmers who have planted trees on their shambas under what is known as the on-farm tree planting program.
Nchi inatakiwa 10% iwe forest, the whole country. Kwa hivyo lazima hata wewe kwako mwenyewe mimi tumefunzwa mimi mimi kwangu lazima niwe 10% ndikuwe na miti.
Mwai is hoping to get the 10% tree cover on his farm soon. Many other farmers here are reading from the same script. Tree bells are a common feature in many homes.
Hata ukiwa you are neighboring to the forest, hakuna mtu anategemea nini ataenda kudestroy.
Kenya's forest cover remains awfully low, with the 10% United Nations minimum still largely elusive. But here in Hombe Forest, they are doing their bit, and farmers like Mwai are now a happier lot.
Visit iliporudi, maji ikapatikana, tumepata maji. Sasa maji inatusaidia kulima throughout the year.
But even as residents enjoy the benefits of conservation, those who help bring Hombe Forest back to life have concerns.
Kenya Forest Service is now selling through thinning, some of them by career fairing, but no benefits is coming to the community. NACOFA initiated a program with some assistance from ACT to review the forest bill so that the issues of benefit sharing can be factored in law.
The forest bill still hangs in the balance. For now, though, communities in Hombe continue to safeguard the forest.
You cannot be able to do anything illegal in this forest because communities allowed it and they feel that it is their forest.
With the rehabilitation of over 1,200 hectares of forest land and with the community embracing the on-farm tree planting program, locals in Hombe have not only helped book Nyeri the top slot on the list of counties with the highest forest cover in the country at 38%. They are also reaping the benefits of conservation. Rita Chinina, KTN, Hombe Forest.
Lights may be off, the action is over, and the cameras are certainly off, but the conversation continues on social media. Remember, the hashtag is KTN Bottomline. Back here in Nairobi, and Kevin Bahati, you may know him as just Bahati. He has launched his long-awaited album titled Barua za Bahati. Now, Bahati is this year's Groove Male Artist of the Year, and the colourful event, co-sponsored by the Standard Group, brought together thousands of fans. Celebrated gospel artists were also present to support the 20-year-old singer. The album is a soulful compilation of his previously released singles as well as other new hits. Now, unlike other launches, his was a purely one-man affair. Bahati, that's right, was the only singer on stage, and he thrilled the audience away, as you can possibly tell from the pictures on your screen.
Kwa njia ya muziki, ona nyimbo ngapi nimeandika zisizo za riziki, nikimwita mpenzi mpenzi mpenzi, ati nikimwita mpenzi mpenzi mpenzi, kufunga nikafunga ila sitaki wajue, samahani kaomba kwa makofi nisikusiku.
Congratulations to Bahati and his new album. Elsewhere, rather, a revelation, they do say, can go two ways. Now, one It can be an extremely happy occasion, or two, it can go horribly wrong and send you all over a wall, literally, as one county executive discovered. Now, this week also saw a revelation from Parliament which left very many people confused. Wilson Buru brings you more on this week's episode of Mock the Week.
The 32nd week of the year. Revelations, revelations, revelations.
A section of locals in Trans Nzoia and Uasin Gishu have been forced to seek refuge in police stations.
Yes, this group of grown men in Trans Nzoia County was an angry lot. While other people would traditionally demonstrate over issues like the prices of unga and or bad governance, this lot was up in arms because they were just tired of being circumcised by force. However, just in case the circumcisers did not heed to this very stern warning, they switched to plan B. Desperate times call for desperate measures.
Sections of other communities are now taking refuge in police stations or enduring cold nights in the maize fields.
These are tough times for these folks. But all is well that ends well. Being initiated into manhood is a wonderful thing for any African man in his particular culture, because, you know, the initiation is different for different people. However, while others were celebrating and demonstrating for being forced to be men according to other people's cultures, others, like this guy, had their manhood to thank for the trouble they found themselves in. Let's go back a bit and see how this fellow got himself climbing over fences. Right. So Mr. Fence Climber here, who is a county executive in charge of ICT in Uasin Gishu County, has been, let's say this in Swahili, it sounds much better. Amekuwa akichovya mali ya wenyewe, or alijenga kibanda katika ardhi isiyo yake. On this day, however, it would be revealed that his 40 days had finally come to an end and he was caught pants down. Literally. But if there's anything we've learned in this country, it's that all problems can be solved using dialogue.
Kama ataki aje penye niko tukuje tuketi chini to have dialogue, I'm ready to do whatever that I can do.
But instead of engaging in dialogue, with his tail between his legs, he tried some weird sort of pole vaulting. After it was discovered, however, that these two fellas could not agree on a nusu mkate kind of arrangement,
mtu mwenye ana claim kwamba amenioa for the last 8 years, sifahamu hiyo miaka 8. Kuonana naye nikiwa 4th year, na hiyo ilikuwa ni mchezo ya watoto.
Na mimi batu beana mutu chochote. Hii mtoto iko kuwanja na ngoja mbwana yoyote. Say what?
But at the end of what is now increasingly looking like a very dark tunnel for this fellow here, suddenly a revelation.
Na kama ananifuatafuata, kwani ameshindwa kutongoza wasichana, si angekuja aongee na mimi vizuri, aninunulie chai, asema anataka kunioa.
Kama uko na neno la kusema, chukua simu piga. And speaking of revelations,
yes, indeed, it was done by Al-Shabaab in cahoots with locals.
If you remember correctly, the debate on who did what in Peketoni was so animated.
You want to ascend to leadership through the blood of our people.
We here at Mock the Week had to teach our good friend, the National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi, how to treat the ladies.
Honorable Millie Odhiambo, get out!
After having waited for a couple of months and after being fed a couple of interesting theories,
the attack in Lamu was well planned, orchestrated, and politically motivated ethnic violence.
The red line has since been crossed.
This week finally saw the revelation of who did what on those 2 fateful days at the coast.
Yes, indeed, it was done by Al-Shabaab in cahoots with locals.
Okay, this is all very confusing. So if it were indeed the Al-Shabaab who carried out the attacks, where did the narrative that the opposition was behind the attacks come from? So what are we going to be told next? That dogs ate the Anglo-leasing paperwork? And it turns out, it's not just me who is confused about this particular issue.
Sasa uwiano uko upi kati ya mambo haya mawili? Ni Al-Shabaab ama ni siasa?
As we wait for the next big revelation from the government, remember when the Harambee Stars went for the World Cup in Brazil to watch how good teams beat other good teams so they can also learn how to beat bad teams? Well, this week it was revealed that that trip did not do much to help our football team. The Harambee Stars were bundled out of the qualifiers for the Africa Cup of Nations even before the qualifiers started.
Tumechoka now. The whole team should go home. We come up with a new team.
Here's my advice to you fellow football fans. Let's start watching athletics if we want to live longer. Wilson Buru for KTN's Mock the Week.